Billionaire CEO found his maid, naked in his pool. Her explanation left him speechless. Hello everyone and welcome back to Romance Rewind Stories. Before we dive into today's incredible story, I have a small favor to ask. If you're enjoying these heartwarming tales, please hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our latest uploads. It's quick, it's free, and it's the best way to support us in bringing you more emotional romance stories. And here's something I'd love to know. Where are you watching from today? Drop your city or country in the comments below. I always enjoy seeing our amazing community from around the world. Oh, and if this story touches your heart, don't forget to hit the like button. It really helps us grow and reach more people who love these kinds of tales. Now, let's get into today's story. Billionaire CEO found his maid naked in his pool. Her explanation left him speechless. The heat wave hit Los Angeles with unprecedented force, 112 degrees Fahrenheit and climbing. Power grids were failing across the city, air conditioning systems breaking down under the strain, and people were being advised to stay indoors if possible. Dagger Hawthorne, 43-year-old CEO of Hawthorne Global, had cut his business trip to Tokyo short specifically because of the heat wave. His elderly housekeeper, Mrs. Chen, lived in the guest house on his estate, and he was worried about her managing in this extreme weather. He arrived home at 2 p.m. on a Thursday, 3 days earlier than planned. The main house was silent when he entered, blessedly cool thanks to the industrial-grade backup generators that kept his climate control running. Dagger dropped his luggage in the foyer and headed through the house to check on Mrs. Chen. That's when he saw her. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking his pool, there was a woman, completely naked, swimming in his private pool with long, confident strokes, her dark hair streaming behind her in the water. For a moment, Dagger's brain short-circuited. Someone had broken into his property, was using his pool, naked. He moved closer to the window, ready to call security. Then the woman surfaced, treading water near the shallow end, and Dagger recognized her face. Nova Sterling, his new housekeeper. Mrs. Chen had retired 2 months ago after 30 years of service and had personally recommended her niece as a replacement. Dagger had met Nova briefly when she started. 29 years old, college-educated but struggling with student debt, taking the housekeeping job because it paid well and included housing in the guest house. They'd exchanged maybe 10 sentences total. He'd been traveling constantly for work and barely registered her presence beyond noting that the house remained immaculate. But he was certainly registering her presence now. Dagger should have turned away, should have called out to announce himself, should have done literally anything except stand there watching his employee, his naked employee, swim in his pool. But he was frozen, caught between professional obligation and the undeniable fact that Nova Sterling was absolutely stunning. She climbed out of the pool, water streaming off her body, and reached for a towel that was draped over a lounge chair. That's when she looked up and saw him standing at the window. Her eyes went wide. She froze for a split second, completely naked, dripping wet, staring directly at her billionaire employer who wasn't supposed to be home for 3 more days. Then she grabbed the towel, wrapped it around herself with impressive speed, and mouthed what looked like, "Oh my God." Dagger forced himself to move, stepping away from the window and heading outside to the pool deck. By the time he got there, Nova was clutching the towel around herself, her face bright red with embarrassment. "Mr. Hawthorne," she said, her voice strained. "I thought you weren't coming home until Sunday. I'm so sorry. This is completely inappropriate. I'll pack my things and leave immediately." "Stop," Dagger said, holding up a hand. "Just explain. Why were you swimming naked in my pool?" Nova took a shaky breath. "The air conditioning in the guest house broke down this morning. The repair company can't come until tomorrow because they're overwhelmed with emergency calls from the heat wave. It's 118 degrees in there, Mr. Hawthorne. I tried to stay inside, but I started feeling dizzy and nauseous. Heat exhaustion symptoms. I thought about going to a cooling center, but I remembered Mrs. Chen saying you wouldn't mind if I used the pool during emergencies." So you decided to use it naked? I thought I was alone. Nova's blush deepened. You were supposed to be in Tokyo until Sunday. The main house was empty. I didn't bring a swimsuit because I didn't think I'd need one. I'm your housekeeper, not your pool guest. So I thought, just this once, in an emergency, with nobody home, it would be okay. I'm so sorry. This is mortifying. Dagger studied her, taking in the genuine distress on her face, the way she clutched the towel like armor, the slight tremor in her hands that suggested she really had been suffering from heat exhaustion. You're not fired, he said finally. Nova blinked. I'm not? No. You had a legitimate emergency. You took reasonable action to address it. The nakedness is... He paused. Unconventional but understandable given the circumstances. Though Nova, in the future, if you need to use the pool, just ask. You don't have to wait for emergencies or sneak in when you think I'm not home. You're giving me permission to use your pool? It's a pool. It's meant to be used. And clearly the heat in the guest house is dangerous. Until it's fixed, you should stay in the main house. There are 6 guest bedrooms. Pick one. I can't have my employees suffering heat exhaustion because I'm too wealthy to notice my guest house doesn't have adequate climate control. Mr. Hawthorne, I can't stay in your house. That's too much. It's practical. The main house has functioning air conditioning. The guest house is currently uninhabitable. This isn't a favor, Nova. It's basic safety. Now go inside, take one of the guest rooms, and for God's sake put some clothes on before we continue this conversation. Nova nodded, still clutching her towel, and hurried past him into the house. Dagger stood by the pool for a long moment after she left, trying to process what had just happened. He'd come home early to check on his elderly housekeeper, and instead found his young, attractive new housekeeper naked in his pool. And instead of being angry or awkward, he'd found himself concerned, worried about her safety, wanting to help. That was new. 20 minutes later, there was a soft knock on his study door. Nova appeared, now dressed in simple jeans and a t-shirt, her damp hair pulled back in a bun. Mr. Hawthorne, I wanted to apologize again. And thank you for not firing me and for offering me a room. But I really think I should stay in the guest house. It wouldn't be appropriate for me to live in your house. Nova, it's 118 degrees in the guest house. The repair company can't come until tomorrow, and even then it might take days to fix. You'll suffer heat stroke if you stay there. I'm not going to let my employee die of heat exhaustion because of propriety concerns. But people will talk. Your friends, your business associates. If they find out your young female housekeeper is living in your house, then they'll find out I'm a decent human being who doesn't let people suffer when I can help. Nova, I own a 10-bedroom mansion. There's plenty of space. You'll have complete privacy. This isn't inappropriate unless we make it inappropriate. Nova hesitated, then nodded. Thank you. I'll stay until the AC is fixed. But Mr. Hawthorne, I want to be clear. This doesn't change my job. I'm still your housekeeper. I'll still clean, cook, maintain the property. The only difference is where I sleep. Understood. Though Nova, given the heat wave, maybe ease up on the cleaning. Nobody should be exerting themselves in this weather. I'll be fine. I'm used to working in difficult conditions. Why? Dagger asked, genuinely curious. Mrs. Chen mentioned you have a college degree. Why are you working as a housekeeper? Nova was quiet for a moment. Because I have $85,000 in student loans from getting a degree in art history that qualified me for exactly 0 jobs that pay enough to live on. I worked retail, food service, office temping. None of it paid enough to cover rent and loans. Your aunt was offering $55,000 a year plus housing. That's more than I made in any of those other jobs. So yes, I'm overqualified to clean houses, but I need the money, and this job gives me financial stability I've never had. That's why. You have an art history degree. I do. I can tell you everything about Renaissance painting techniques and nothing about how to make that knowledge pay my bills. It's a very expensive mistake I'm spending my 20s paying off. Dagger studied her, this woman who'd gone from naked in his pool to matter-of-factly discussing her financial struggles, and felt something shift in his chest. What if I told you I have a different job for you, one that actually uses your degree? I'd ask what the catch is. No catch. Hawthorne Global is acquiring an art museum, the Westfield Collection. It's been privately held for decades, but the family is selling. We need someone to catalogue the collection, assess the art historical significance, prepare exhibition materials. It's a 6-month contract position. Salary would be $85,000 for the 6 months. After that, if you do good work, we'd offer you a permanent position as curator. Interested? Nova stared at him. You're offering me a job using my actual degree. I'm offering you a job you're qualified for. The housekeeping thing was never going to be your career, Nova. You're too educated, too capable. Let me put your skills to actual use. Why? Because you saw me naked in your pool and feel guilty? Because I'm a businessman who recognizes wasted talent. You have knowledge I need for this museum acquisition. It's mutually beneficial, so interested? Nova was quiet for a long moment, then, yes, but Mr. Hawthorne, I need to know this isn't because you feel sorry for me or because of the awkwardness from earlier. If I'm going to work for you in a professional capacity, it has to be because I'm actually qualified. You are qualified. That's the entire point. Nova, I don't offer jobs out of pity. I offer them because they make business sense. You make business sense. Now, are you going to accept or keep questioning my motives? I accept. But what about the housekeeping? You still need someone to maintain the house. I'll hire someone else. You're moving into a role that actually uses your education. Speaking of which, you'll need to move your things into the main house anyway, since you'll be working here regularly on the museum project. You want me to live here? Permanently? The guest house is too far from the main office where you'll be working on the cataloguing. It makes more sense for you to have space in the main house. There's a suite on the 2nd floor that has its own entrance, bathroom, small living area, completely private. You can work on the museum project, build your career, and actually use your degree. Does that work? Nova looked overwhelmed. This morning I was your housekeeper swimming naked in your pool during a heat wave. Now I'm your museum curator living in your mansion. This is the strangest day of my life. Welcome to my life. Everything is strange when you're a billionaire. You get used to it. Over the next 6 months, Nova transformed the Westfield Collection cataloging project from a simple acquisition into a comprehensive art historical analysis that impressed even Dagger's most skeptical board members. She was brilliant, able to identify provenance issues, spot forgeries, assess cultural significance with an expertise that justified every penny of her salary. And somewhere between the museum meetings and the evening conversations in his study, Dagger fell for her. I'm attracted to you, he admitted one evening, 4 months into the project. They were in his study reviewing her latest catalogue entries, and the words just slipped out. And I know that's inappropriate. You work for me, you live in my house, the power dynamic is all wrong. But Nova, I can't keep pretending I see you purely as an employee. I see you, and I'm falling for you. Nova set down the document she'd been holding. I'm attracted to you too. Have been since you found me naked in your pool and didn't make it weird. But Dagger, you're right about the power dynamic. I work for you. I live in your house because you offered me the space. If we try this and it doesn't work, I lose everything. The job, the housing, the career opportunity. That's terrifying. Then let me remove the power dynamic. Effective immediately. You don't work for me. You work for the museum, which is its own entity, separate from Hawthorne Global. You report to the museum board, not to me. I'm recusing myself from any decisions about your employment. And Nova, the suite is yours regardless of whether we date. If this doesn't work out, you still have your job and your housing. I'm not the kind of man who punishes women for rejecting me. You'd restructure my entire employment just to ask me out? I'd do a lot more than that. Nova, you're brilliant, passionate about your work, and you make me laugh more than anyone has in years. You're also the only woman I've ever met who got caught naked in my pool and somehow made it endearing rather than scandalous. I want to see where this goes, if you're willing to try. What if people say I slept my way into this job, that I used my looks to get ahead? Then they're wrong, and we correct them. Nova, you earned this position through your expertise. Anyone who's read your cataloging work knows that. Your qualifications speak for themselves. What happens between us personally is separate from your professional achievements. Can you accept that? Nova studied his face for a long moment, then smiled. I can try. But Dagger, we take this slow. I need to protect my career and my heart. Both matter to me. Understood. We take it at whatever pace you need. They dated carefully, navigating the complicated situation. Dagger introduced her to his world, galas and charity events, where she held her own discussing art history with collectors who tried to intimidate her. Nova showed him her world, gallery openings and museum exhibitions where he learned to see art through her eyes. You're changing me, Dagger admitted 6 months into dating. They were at a gallery opening for emerging artists, so different from his usual corporate events, but somehow more enjoyable. Before you, I saw art as investment opportunities. Now I see it as art, as human expression and creativity and meaning. You've taught me to see differently. You've changed me too, Nova replied. I used to think wealthy people couldn't appreciate art beyond its price tag. You've shown me that's not true, that curiosity and genuine interest matter more than background or bank account. Dagger, you ask better questions about art than most people with art history degrees. That's rare. I have a good teacher. You have genuine interest. That's different and better. A year after finding Nova naked in his pool, Dagger proposed. Not at some fancy restaurant or exotic location, but at the Westfield Museum during the grand opening of the exhibition Nova had curated. They stood in front of a Renaissance painting she'd spent months researching and authenticating, and Dagger pulled out a ring. Nova Sterling, you came into my life naked in my pool during a heat wave. You were supposed to be my housekeeper. Instead, you became my curator, my partner, and the love of my life. You taught me to see art, to see beauty, to see what actually matters beyond balance sheets and business deals. Will you marry me? Yes, Nova said through tears. But Dagger, I'm keeping my job. I'm not giving up curating to be a billionaire's wife. I wouldn't want you to. Nova, your work matters, your passion matters. I fell in love with the woman who's brilliant enough to spot a Caravaggio forgery and bold enough to swim naked in a stranger's pool. I'm not asking you to change. I'm asking you to let me be part of your life, the messy, complicated, beautiful life you've built. Their wedding was held at the museum, surrounded by the art Nova loved and the collection she'd saved from being scattered and sold off piecemeal. During the reception, one of Dagger's business associates pulled him aside. You're really marrying your former housekeeper, the one caught naked in your pool? I'm marrying a brilliant art historian who happens to have once been my housekeeper and who once used my pool during a heat emergency. And yes, she was naked. It's one of my favorite memories. Any other concerns? Just, aren't you worried about what people will say? Not remotely. People said I was crazy to acquire an art museum. People said I was wasting money on culture when I should focus on profit. People are often wrong. Nova is the best decision I've ever made. Let them talk. 2 years after the pool incident, Dagger and Nova stood in their home, the same mansion where she'd once been his housekeeper, looking at the newly installed pool house. Climate-controlled, Dagger said, gesturing at the structure. State-of-the-art AC and heating. Nobody will ever again have to swim naked in the main pool because their guest house AC broke down. That's very thoughtful, Nova said, smiling. Though I should mention, I actually enjoyed swimming naked in your pool. It led to this, to us. So you're saying I shouldn't have installed the pool house? I'm saying that sometimes the most embarrassing moments lead to the best outcomes. I thought my career was over when you caught me naked. Instead, it was just beginning, along with everything else that mattered. Should we commemorate that moment? Go swimming right now? In the middle of winter. The pool's heated. And Nova, I've been wanting to see you swim again since that first day. Naked is optional, but encouraged. You're ridiculous, and you love me anyway. I do. Against all logic, I absolutely do. Because sometimes the most mortifying moments become the best stories. Sometimes being caught naked in your employer's pool is the beginning of everything. And sometimes the person who sees you at your most vulnerable and most embarrassing is exactly the person you're meant to build a life with. And that's where our story ends today. What did you think? Did Dagger and Nova's story of an embarrassing pool incident turning into love touch your heart? Let us know in the comments what your favorite moment was. If you enjoyed this story, we have so many more waiting for you. Check out our playlist for more heartwarming romance tales that will make you believe in love all over again. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and give us a thumbs up. Your support means everything to us. Until next time, keep believing in love, keep believing in second chances, and remember, the best stories are the ones that remind us we all deserve our happily ever after. See you in the next story.